Welcome to episode 152 of Freshly Grounded. This is a bonus episode, we're going to call it. We're going to put this out outside of our weekly Friday episodes. And the reason is because it's a bit different. It is just me. And it's an episode about kind of, it's a story. And it's a story about kind of our last live event. And the reason I'm doing this episode like this is because I think that a lot of people like to kind of hear about the behind the scenes, the story about how things are done, how things have been put together. And I think at Freshly Grounded, we don't share that enough. I know that for me, my favorite episodes of podcasts that I listen to are ones where kind of I'm hearing a breakdown of how things are actually done. So if I think of Tim Ferriss, for example, my favorite episode of Tim Ferriss's podcast, no matter how many episodes he's done with guests, is the one where he speaks about how he monetizes his podcast, because of course that relates to me. And I was just intrigued to see how someone on such an elite level monetizes their podcasts, how they think, the behind the scenes of kind of how he puts together his episodes. And that was really powerful. So I think this is a bit of a niche episode, which is why it's going to be an extra episode. It's not going to be one of our regular Friday ones. And it's also why I'm recording the intro in advance. Normally I record the intro at the end of the episode once we know kind of what we spoke about. But it's kind of a story. I think there's a lot of people who, with Freshly Grounded as well, are interested in kind of how a lot of the things are done, or kind of the behind the scenes element of it. I think generally we're quite interested in kind of behind the scenes. I think as people, I love watching kind of behind the scenes documentaries and how kind of people put together their businesses and all that kind of stuff. And so I think this is niche for that audience. And I'm not expecting kind of loads of people to listen to this because it's not one with a guest. At the same time, I think there's definitely people who do want to hear kind of how perhaps stories of kind of the behind the scenes stuff at Freshly Grounded. So this is going to be about the last event which we did at Aldwych, kind of the story behind it, a lot of things that weren't told at the time. And now that kind of we're kind of 6 months away from it and we're building up to our next event, we can kind of speak about all the things that were happening. There were a lot of things that we were keeping secret, or I was keeping secret, namely my baby, which I'm going to go into as well. Why we did all that, how we managed to pull off an event in London's West End, how we managed to get it again, the same venue. And yeah, so that's what this episode's about. It's just a story, and I hope you guys enjoy it. We're thinking about doing this kind of episode more often, outside of our weekly Friday ones. If it's something that you guys are interested in, please do let us know by commenting below on the YouTube video. Or DMing us on Instagram. What we were thinking about doing this kind of episode for our Patreon subscribers. I think there's a clear difference in the general subscribers and the Patreon subscribers who are kind of more invested in Freshly Grounded emotionally and want more content. So we might continue this on as a Patreon series, but we'll start with this episode and kind of see how it goes. Before we do go into it and before we do play the jingle, I do want to quickly let you guys know 2 points. One is that the tickets for our tour coming up in April are still available, and you can grab them at freshlygrounded.com/tour. We're going to be speaking a bit about that in the episode as well. And lastly, there's a crisis going on in Syria. Innocent families and children are escaping war, and our friends at Human Appeal got in touch with us and told us that they were putting together emergency packs to provide shelter, food, clothing to these families, and somehow kind of try and help them in attaining safety. And we're raising money. Our target is £5,000. And you can head over to justgiving.com/freshly-grounded. That's freshly-grounded. If you want to help out, you're more than welcome to. And it's a sadaqah at the end of the day. We should all rummage together, inshallah, and be able to help our brothers and sisters. So we'll get into the story. We'll get into kind of the breakdown. So this is kind of like a breakdown, a review of everything that went, the kind of everything, how we managed to get Aldwych, why we decided to do that event, and the response from it, the putting it together. And I think it'll be nice, especially those people who went to the event. They'll kind of be interested in seeing, to be honest, how we managed to pull it off. All right, guys, let's play that jingle.
And welcome
to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast by best friends Faizu and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded,
No, after that bit.
the brand new podcast
And after that bit?
by best friends Faizu and Sam.
Really?
Okay, so let's start. So we did our episode 100, which was meant to be like a celebratory event. So we had managed to do 100 episodes of Freshly Grounded, and we always wanted to do like a celebratory live event for our 100th episode. We didn't know how big or small we wanted to go. I think we at times had the idea that we would just do like 20 or 30 people, and then eventually we came to the concept of doing a nice event. And I decided that if we're going to do an event, and this is something that I really stand for with our Freshly Grounded events, is that I feel like there's a black mark kind of put on Islamic events, Muslim events. And that mark is that they're bad quality, badly organized, bad venues, wedding hall kind of venues, sticky floors, kind of rummaged together, and not enjoyable, to be honest. I think that's a kind of stereotypical kind of event. I'm not saying that Islamic events are not enjoyable or events put together by Muslims aren't enjoyable, but I think that definitely we need to up our production levels in this industry or as Muslims. And so I decided if we're going to do a live event, I want to go against everything that I feel like I feel when I go to an event run by Muslims. And that was really important to me because I know that a lot of our audience members are people who are putting their trust in us, and they're putting their trust in us to have a good time. They're putting their trust in us to be entertained. They're putting their trust in us that they have a good experience. And really and truly, we're in the experience game. We're trying to provide the best experience for the people. I've got a sore throat all of a sudden. So my goal was let's not kind of waver or compensate on anything. Let's not sacrifice anything when it comes to quality. So I want to put on an event in a great venue, a venue that a Muslim kind of event hasn't been seen in, you know? Because I want to compete with the mainstream. I think that there's Freshly Grounded. I really believe in it. I think that inshallah we have something going here, and I want it to be seen in the best light as well, and I want our audience to always feel like they are respected. And I think that's part of being respected, is putting on an event for them that doesn't sell them short. You know, you're buying tickets to an event, you want to have the best event possible. Personally, I feel like I've always wanted to put together the type of event that, from a monetary aspect, people pay £55, £65 to go to the theatre. I want to put an event of that level. And obviously, these events, if we're trying to put on the best quality events, we need to be able to have high ticket kind of numbers so that we can basically be able to afford such great luxuries to put off the best experience. But we're going to talk about the ticket prices in a bit, inshallah, because we had a bit of a kerfuffle with that with the Aldrich event. But we're still talking about episode 100. So we decided what we'll do is we'll put on a great event, and alhamdulillah, Sam and I have a great relationship in that I love Sam to bits, and alhamdulillah, Sam is a very, very busy man, and it works out great because he's running this amazing, massive empire, like one of the most successful barber chains, and he loves Freshly Grounded, but at the same time, I want to like run Freshly Grounded, feeling like I don't have anyone stopping me from trying to achieve these massive aspirations. But I love Sam. I love Sam being involved, but I almost we have this weird thing where he loves Freshly Grounded but doesn't have enough time to give to it. I love Freshly Grounded, but I don't really want anyone like stamping on my decisions. And so it's an amazing relationship because he kind of trusts me fully with Freshly Grounded and all the decisions I make, and he allows me to kind of try and achieve these aspirations, and at the same time he's still a part of it. And so I'm so grateful for Sam to kind of give me that opportunity as well. And so I was kind of running the event, episode 100, and I decided we'll go for, I was looking around for venues. I wanted to go for something amazing, and we came across King's Place, which is in King's Cross. And the venue was stunning. As soon as I viewed it, I viewed so many venues, like in those weeks. And when I came across King's Place, I just knew that was a venue we wanted. It was extremely high in price, but I decided that it's a celebratory event for our 100th episode. It's kind of to celebrate our listeners and kind of put on like this variety show. And so let's go for it. All I want to do is break even. I'm not looking to make any money off this event necessarily. I just want to have this celebration. And so we did it. And lo and behold, we put on an amazing event. Alhamdulillah, people loved it. We sold out, I think, 6 weeks in advance. We had about, I think it was a 400-seated theatre, at which I didn't know if I was going too high, going too low. I think I was of the opinion that I was going too low. Too high. I was of the opinion that how are we going to sell 400 seats? And I had some people around me advising me who'd kind of been in the event game a bit longer, and they were saying you have to go for a much larger capacity, and I just wasn't sure. So I liked the venue. It had 400 seats, and I felt like that was something that we can kind of try and push ourselves to achieve. Alhamdulillah, the audience members, you guys, just sold it out so quick, and that was really reassuring, because when we're doing this kind of thing, a lot of the times, you hear a lot of people saying that when you're kind of running something that you're passionate about, it can be very lonely. So when tickets sell out that fast, it genuinely, you feel warmth in your heart because you feel like acceptance, and you feel like what you're doing, perhaps it does stand for something. It has a meaning that other people resonate with. And yeah, look, we'll skim past that because that was episode 100. Alhamdulillah, it was a great event. Everyone had a good time. We sold out. The venue was beautiful, and we set the bar really, really high. And to be honest, I don't know if I really had intentions to do another live event after episode 100. The idea was always just to do a one-off live event to celebrate. However, as soon as we done the episode at the live event, I think I fell in love. I love the idea of live performing. I don't have a talent or a skill that I can live perform. I'm not a great poet. I'm not a great actor. I'm not a good singer or anything else that would kind of perform live in front of an audience. And so as much as I loved performing in front of a live audience, I love the energy and just being able to almost orchestrate a room full of dopamine, like just everyone just feeling happy and entertained and forgetting about things and escaping for a couple of hours. I love that idea, and I love being able to orchestrate that, but I didn't have necessarily a talent that can do that. And but I feel like I found it at episode 100. I feel like I enjoyed putting that event on, and so I said we got to do another event. But if we do another event, we have to go bigger and better. And we already set the bar so high with King's Cross, central London location, a massive auditorium, way out of our price range that we could afford. How can we go bigger and better than that? And how would we even afford kind of bigger and better than that? So then we come to straight after the event was Ramadan. And in Ramadan, so I very quickly decided that we want to do another event. And I spent almost straight after episode 100 all the way until, so that was I believe in April 2019 that show. I want to say that I spent from April 2019 all the way to, let's say, from April to July. So that's half of April, May, June, let's say half of July, or all of July actually. So I spent 3.5 months trying to figure out how we're going to do this. And when I say trying to figure out how we're going to do this, I mean from a monetary perspective. So there's no denying that it's a huge struggle. And I knew that if I was going to put on a bigger event, I pretty much had the Aldwych in mind very quickly. Or not necessarily the Aldwych, but I had in mind that if we're going to go bigger and better, the dream for anyone to perform live in London is to perform at London's West End. We need to do a West End theatre. And very quickly I came across the Aldwych. And the Aldwych, very professional, very amazing, very lovely people. Their manager there, Steve, is who I kind of have been dealing with directly. And Steve is very amazing, very accommodating. And what happened is I had the Aldwych pretty much ready, but I had no way of attaining it financially. And I had to make this massive decision in like May as to what I'm going to do. So I was working at the time for Flavor, which is my brother's marketing company. I was doing kind of a bunch of customer stuff there, and that was kind of my main income revenue or income source. And however, this idea of planning this humongous event at the Aldwych was taking up so much time, and I also had to take time out to try and figure out sponsorships and a way we can basically pay off the event in order to put on an amazing event for you guys. And so I made this decision in May 2018 that I'm going to leave my job. It was an interesting discussion I had with Omar, but he's my brother, and so he's obviously very accommodating. I told him, look, as you know, I never had the full intention to always remain at Flavor. I love working next to you, sharing a desk with you, but I feel like we can do that by running our own things, and I don't quite know how, but I want to run Freshly Grounded, and he was completely understanding. And I said to him, I don't want you to pay me a salary from this month onwards. I had a bit of savings that would kind of carry me through, and I had 2 months. So that was May and June, or was it 3 months? May, June, and July. It was either 3 months, May, June, and July, or it was 2 months, June and July. No, it was like, I think it was May, June, and July. I had no salary coming in. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. I definitely am not experienced enough to give out advice, especially with regards to business. I'd consider myself probably one of the worst businessmen, and definitely not kind of the most savvy. But I think generally in life you have to take risks. If you want to get to the other side, you have to do something that scares you. And often I feel like I enjoy the analogy. Imagine you're on the edge of a cliff, and you don't know. It feels like there's nothing underneath if you jump off this cliff, but you know there's this big net, right? So imagine if you're in that scenario where you're on the edge of a cliff and you know there's a net there. Like you can actually, maybe you can even see it. Like there's this huge net that's going to catch you, right? But you have to make the jump and it will catch you. And I often use that analogy to think of like getting closer to Allah. So, you know, if I'm speaking to people in my family or whatever, I say like, you know, you've got this far, but you have to take this big step, whether it be putting on their hijab or praying 5 times a day or whatever. And that step is that jump. And Allah has got you, and you know Allah has got you, but you have to make that jump, and then you'll fall in the net. But the trick is that you are the one who has to make the jump. That's the key. And I can kind of use that analogy in this scenario when I had to leave my job. I really did believe in Freshly Grounded. You know, prior to me leaving the job, we've always got such amazing, generous messages from you guys. People saying that they was on the verge of committing suicide and they didn't when they listened to Freshly Grounded. By the will of Allah, people stopping listening to music and stuff like that. And so I knew we were onto something. I knew I definitely hadn't made it to where I wanted it to go. So I had to give it more time. So I made that jump. And for 3 months, it was very, very difficult, but I believed in it. And, you know, we managed to get some deals in that would basically allow us to do this big event at the Aldwych. Now, what's probably worth realizing here is that I decided that if we're going to do a bigger event, we have to do a West End show, and it's going to have to be to a much bigger audience. And the Aldwych is 1,200 people. It's a 1,200 seated theatre, and the one before, as I told you guys, was 400. So we're looking to triple our audience in this theatre. And so I wanted to triple the amount of time that we had to sell tickets. So last time I think we had no, I didn't want triple our time, but I wanted to have a lot more time, to sell tickets. And so last time, I don't know, we may have launched tickets like late Jan or something like that. And then we had like 2-3 months to sell tickets. So this time I wanted at least, you know, I wanted to start selling tickets as soon as possible. maybe like in May. So we had all of May, June, July, August, and then the event was in the end of September. So like 5 months to sell 1,200 tickets. So I left my job and I thought it's going to be quite easy to kind of, with our numbers, with our stats, to try and put in some sponsorships so we can basically do this event. And it was probably the most difficult thing that I've done. And May goes past. And I wanted basically by the end of Ramadan, because Ramadan was in May that year. And so I wanted by the end of Ramadan to have everything ready. So like Eid day, we can like announce tickets. And Ramadan goes past and we didn't lock anything in. And then June comes in and I'm trying hard in June. And I'm traveling and I'm meetings, and June goes past and we haven't locked anything in. Now we're at July and we've got July, August, September, 3 months left to the event. And all this time that I've been dealing with trying to lock in some sponsorships and stuff like that, I've been speaking to Steve at the Aldwych and like just having everything ready. I've been having technical meetings at the Aldwych and everything's ready. They're just looking for me to clear like the first part of the invoice. And it gets to end of July / early August, to cut a long story short, and we finally managed to lock in enough to basically essentially cover like that first part of the invoice with the Aldwych. And I remember speaking to Steve on the phone, and we were like, by this time, like 8 weeks out to the event, because we had booked in the date with the Aldwych. We just had to clear the invoice to like get tickets on sale and stuff. And I was speaking to Steve, and Steve was going to go on holiday or something. He'll take some leave the next day. And I was waiting for like this sponsorship to come in so I could even pay for the initial invoice. And Steve, I said, so me and Steve were talking all day on the phone. I'm like, Steve, today the money's coming in. I'm going to send it to you. He's like, all right, fine, always. And he's so understandable and so lovely. The whole team there is so professional, so lovely. And bear in mind, I had had loads of meetings with them before. And it got to the point where I had told Steve, like, by the afternoon, it'll be sorted. He hadn't come in the afternoon. And it got all the way to the end of the day at 5. And I was on the phone to Steve and I'm saying, like, I can't have you go on holiday and us not launch tickets because you're going to go away and then we're going to have such a short amount of time. I think maybe it was Eid that weekend as well. I'm struggling to remember the exact timeline. I think it may have been the Eid of Hajj or something. Steve then said something that if it wasn't for this man, it's possible that the event wouldn't have happened. And he goes to me, I said, Steve, listen, I can't have you go on holiday. It was approaching 5 o'clock. He had to leave the office. He wasn't going to be in office for a week. And I wasn't able to clear the invoice. And he goes, we spoke on the phone and he goes, Faisal, listen, I like you. You're a reasonable man and I trust you. So we're going to make the tickets live and you make that payment kind of as soon as it comes in. And I was like, bro, I said, Steve, thank you so much. I'm not going to let you down, bro. And that's freshly grounded. Like, we're a very independent podcast. We're not like this huge. In fact, only this year, like a few months ago, we finally got our own studio. That we actually, our studio, as you guys know, you can see it if you're watching on YouTube. Before that, we were always borrowing studio space and stuff like that. And I was so grateful, man. And then that evening, alhamdulillah, literally about an hour or two after, we managed to secure it all in, and I paid the Aldwych that evening. But if it wasn't, I managed to keep my word with Steve. But if it wasn't for him putting his arm out or putting his neck on the line for us, just because he believed in us, it's possible that we would never been able to put our tickets on sale. And so, very grateful to him for that. And anyway, what ended up happening is we ended up putting tickets on sale, I think like 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks before the event. Now, this is insane and unheard of. Because we had to sell a theatre, 1,200 people in 6 weeks. Bearing in mind, we had 3 months to sell tickets for the last event, and that was a third of the people. So now we've times the audience by 3, but we've reduced the amount of time we've got to sell tickets by 3. We've got 6 weeks to sell 1,200 tickets. So as happy as I was that all right, cool, the event's going ahead, it was panic season for me. And it was stress. And but I said, look, we got to go ahead. Now, even the Aldrich team are saying to me, Faisal, you got 6 weeks left. Can you delay I think it was the Aldrich saying, can you delay the event by a few weeks? My team saying, can we delay the event, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't delay the event. Now, as you guys now know, alhamdulillah, we had the baby boy a few months back. Now, he was due in October. And so here's why I couldn't delay the event. And this is why I was so adamant that, look, we'll make it work within 6 weeks. Bismillah. So, because we had the miscarriage pretty much 1 year earlier, exactly 1 year earlier from September, or even a few months actually ago. It was like about 8 months before, the time we're talking about, we had the miscarriage. And therefore, we were very private about the fact that we were expecting a baby. And I hadn't mentioned on Freshly Grounded, even though it was really difficult because, we speak very openly about our personal lives on Freshly Grounded. I hadn't mentioned it, and nobody really knew on a public platform, and really and truly only very close people knew privately as well. And so I couldn't move the date because it had to be at the end of September, because any time after the end of September, and I think we did the event on the very last weekend of September, any time after that, it could have been a situation where we'd be on the stage and I'd get a call saying it's go time and I'm having to rush to the hospital. So to be safe, it had to be at the end of September. That's why I wasn't willing to make it move. And I was also planning to take a few months off after the event so that I could spend some time with the family. And so I was in this situation where it was like, all right, cool. Now we've got 6 weeks left to do this event. We got the guests. We had the guests ready already, most of them. And we put out a poster. I quickly rummaged together a really bad poster, and we put the tickets on sale. And the announcement video that we done then, the announcement video was the really cheesy one where I was sat in the armchair putting on that really bad Italian accent with Sam. And Sam's always a great sport with this kind of stuff. I can't remember, what was it? It was I can't remember. I was on the phone and stuff. And I was like, you got my money. I can't even remember it. The thing is, I took inspiration fully from the Fox's Biscuits advert. I don't know if you guys remember the Vinny from Fox's Biscuits, but that was, for me, one of my favourite adverts of all time. Fox's Biscuits. Hey, these guys know a thing or two about biscuits. I loved it. So I wanted to kind of emulate that. With Sam and I know what kind of stuff Sam's comfortable with and uncomfortable with. And so I kind of gave him a very easy role where he kind of just comes in at the end. And alhamdulillah, we did the video and people seemed to love it. I think, alhamdulillah, it could have gone really bad because it's a very cheesy video, very bad accent, very bad acting. And people could have been like, this is awful. But alhamdulillah, for the most part, people got that it was a joke. People got that we were kind of making fun of ourselves. And, I think you have to stick your neck out on the line with that. I think once you remove your own ego, people don't really attack you. Because you are already saying, look, I've removed my ego. So they can't attack what's not there. If they're making fun of you, you've already made fun of yourself. And I think that was a key part of it. Otherwise, it would have been... If I was kind of putting it out seriously, I think it would have been a bit of an issue. So we put out the video. Alhamdulillah, we sold a few hundred tickets instantly, I think, pretty much. And we were kind of on track with what I wanted to kind of do for ticket sales. And as we were getting along, obviously there's a spike initially and then ticket sales slowed down. And selling tickets is one of the most difficult things. As you guys know, even as the biggest stars like Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart, when they sell tickets or they do like a cinema thing or stand up, they put tickets on one year in advance. And so we did 6 weeks. And on top of that, they're doing like the Graham Norton show and the Jonathan Ross show, and they're just going all around doing all this media to sell tickets. And we're in this field where we're just alone. It's just us and our audience. And that's where you guys come in that we're so proud and grateful that we have such a passionate audience that's so attached to Freshly Grounded and the message and the meaning behind it that we never were worried. Alhamdulillah. And you guys came through. But it did require a lot of we were doing a lot of promo. I was putting out videos all the time. I was doing vlogs on my YouTube, stuff on my Instagram, and just trying to kind of really, really sell this out. We had a lot of help from our friends, and this is another point. We had a lot of people come forward and show love, and it really meant a lot. For example, we had a brother called Saad who runs kind of influencer agency or something along the lines of that. At the time, he was running to be honest, Saad has his hand in a lot of businesses. Allah Mubarak is very successful. May Allah put barakah in him. May Allah bless him. He basically came forward and said, "Bro, I want to purchase like 10 tickets just to support. He said something like, I can't come. I'm really upset that I can't come, but I want to get 10 tickets, and then you just give them out." And then so many people did that. They just supported. Like they bought like 20 tickets and 10 tickets, and that was amazing just to see the brothers around us showing support, because sometimes we do feel sad that, and it's kind of it's a known thing on like social media and stuff that, you know, when you have a business or you're trying to start something up, and the people who support you the least often tend to be your friends for some reason, and alhamdulillah, we felt so much love in that our friends were supporting us, and you know, alhamdulillah, every time I put on an event, the first person to buy a ticket is my wife. May Allah bless her, even though that's the last person needs to buy a ticket, but it means a lot that you have that support around you, right? And so as the weeks were going on, you know, towards the end, we have that period where we're really trying to like stretch out, get as many ticket sales as possible, because, you know, it's like drawing blood from a stone at some points, because you're trying to sell out 1,200 tickets in London. We have a big audience in Birmingham, in Manchester, in Indonesia, in India, and a few other countries around the world, Canada. So our audience is very spread out. So of course, London is our widest audience, our largest audience. There's no doubt in that. However, trying to sell 1,200 tickets is tough, and man, so we're trying to sell tickets. I'll skip forward. Alhamdulillah, we got close to the kind of event time, and we sold a large amount of tickets, alhamdulillah, by the end of it, through a lot of help of a lot of the team. We managed to pack out the Aldwych. As you guys, I'm sure those who came saw that it was packed, and kind of you can see from the images and stuff. The images are actually available on freshlygrounded.com/tour. You can see the images from the past events. And so kind of that was a story kind of leading up to the Aldwych. In the last 2 weeks, I realized that I needed some help. And so I rang Kareem, who now works for us, alhamdulillah, because of his effort that he put into the Aldwych event. But basically, I rang Kareem, who lives in Spain, and I said, "Look, bro, I need an event manager, because when I'm on stage, I can't run the event." And Kareem was like, "I'm down. I just loved his vision. He said, I have no experience in this. I don't know why you're choosing me, but I'm down." And he flew himself over, and he just absolutely smashed it, man. He put on he was behind the curtains when the Aldwych event was going on, with like one set of headphones on, speaking to the Aldwych staff and their tech team, one set of headphones on, speaking to our staff, and it was absolutely amazing. And we also had Yusuf. So Yusuf in episode 100 dealt with hospitality, and he did that again for the Aldwych event, which was stunning. He deals with managing the volunteers, managing the staff, getting people in their seats, anything that's hospitality related, and like organization. So we say it like this: like Kareem deals with everything on the stage, and Yusuf deals with everything off the stage. And them guys are an amazing team. Like Yusuf is so efficient in that, you know, we'll be doing the event, and we're halfway through the event, and Yusuf is like, "Faisal, can you give me your keys?" I just give him my keys. And at the end of the event, I'm like, "All right, guys, we've got to pack up, blah, blah, blah." And Yusuf's like, "It's all done." As we finished each segment, if we didn't need something, Yusuf would pack it and get it in the cars, get it in the vans, because we're all using our own cars. We're driving ourselves to the venue. There's no like VIP service that we're using. Like, I'm driving myself. I've got all of the equipment for the whole show in the back of my car. And he loaded my car up while the event was going on, so that when we finished, he just handed me my keys and he was like, "You're good to go." So I really got to give props to them guys, and alhamdulillah, we managed to get them both on board for this event. Kareem now works full time in Freshly Grounded. Yusuf works with us on contract basis for the events. He's got his own career path that he's also kind of doing great in, Allahumma barik, himself. And we managed to get an amazing team together. And I've always wanted to keep this kind of team, the event team, very small, so that we can kind of communicate with each other. But it's crazy to think that we managed to do the Aldwych, this massive venue that plays like, events like Tina Turner, The Lion King, and all these kind of massive West End events. We managed to do it in like a one-man team and then like a three-man team in the last 2 weeks. Alhamdulillah, and that was by the will of Allah. And alhamdulillah, then we put on the event. And the event itself, so with the ticket sales, I started by putting the ticket sales at £25. That's a key part of the story, actually. So as I mentioned before, I want to be able to put on elite level events where they like. So here's the idea behind the events. I'll tell you guys the idea behind all of the freshly ground events that we do, and the tour that we've got coming up is the same. It's the same scenario. The idea behind it is, I wanted to create a live show, because I feel like live shows are just so much fun as an audience member to go to, that is fun and entertaining, requires zero like effort. You just go there and you sit and you be entertained. You have a great time, you laugh, you cry, and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to create that feeling because I felt like it didn't exist in a halal way. Now I might be wrong, I might be very wrong, but I didn't do much research, but in my opinion, something like that doesn't exist. I think if you want to go to an event or have a night out and go to a live event, it's going to be a very Islamic event with Islamic speakers, which is great. But then what if you just want to go out and be entertained and kind of have a complete night off, and maybe the other options for that are like the cinema, the theatre, shisha bars and stuff like that. So where is there something where we can have an event that's fully doesn't give up on morals, but yeah, it's just fun. Like you want to take your missus out on a night out, you go for dinner, you go to watch a show and then you go for dinner after in London. Do you know what I mean? Or you want to take the whole family. It's family friendly, and it's very adult friendly in the sense that it's not patronizing and kiddish. Although we do have a laugh and we do have some cringy moments, but we're there to benefit and learn and inspire each other, and there's keynotes and that's. So I almost want to create like the Royal Variety performance or like Ant and Deck Saturday Night Takeaway, but that kind of vibe, a live show, and one that everyone can enjoy. And so because I still have dreams of going even bigger and better, in the sense that having like a full-on set, like designed like a proper set and the craziest equipment and these great segments, and like, like a company, for example, like I have this idea of like a company sponsoring the event, right? Like for example, let's say for example, let's say for example, like a company that sells like tablets, right? Like as in like an iPad, like them kind of things, right? And then they're sponsoring the event, and the way we do it is like we have this fun segment where we pull up someone from the audience and they've got to like answer questions and or like do this game show kind of thing. And then like if they win or they get it right, they win an iPad for everyone in the audience from that like sponsored by that company. Or these things exist in the mainstream, but we don't have that kind of that vibe. And at the same time as having something fun like that, then we have like a keynote from someone who's like an elite psychologist who teaches us how to like manage our stress and anxiety, something that we all deal with. Like what a vast kind of like event, right? So that's the dream, and I've lost myself. So in order to put that on, right? Obviously we have to be able to sell tickets, and so my goal was. The ideal goal is to be able to sell tickets for like £55, £75. Even though that sounds crazy, I want the prestige of the event to be like going to the theatre. And when you go to the theatre, tickets cost £100, £150, £200. And so we went conservative, and we decided to sell the tickets at £25 for the Aldwych event. And we realised that nobody was buying the tickets at £25. And then so we brought it down to £12.50 or £15, and alhamdulillah, people started buying tickets, and that's one of my goals moving forward, is to try and make an event like this valuable enough where people feel like they can part with their money and they value it. Because the sad thing is that we are willing to spend £75 to go to take someone to the theatre, but when there's an initiative like this, we don't want to spend necessarily £75 or whatever. I know that's extremely expensive for a ticket, and first of all, it's not all going in my pocket, but the idea is that we can have that prestige of the event so we can put on better events. So at this point, we're still at the point where we're selling the tickets for £12 and for £15. But I do want to eventually try and, because the only way we're going to be able to build that prestige is through being able to increase the revenue so we can put it into the show. So that's still the goal. I still feel like we have a lot to achieve with Freshly Grounded. But the idea is like a great entertaining show that we want to put on. And we got great plans for the tour that we got next month as well. So cool. The Aldrich event happens, and we managed to get some great people for it. We had Saf down, Super Saf, who's got like 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube, and he, may Allah bless him, gave us his time. He came down from Leicester. He didn't want anything for it. He just wanted to come down and speak to the community, speak to his people, and it was amazing that he did that. We had Aleem come down. Sorry, I just cut it out there. I can't remember exactly what I was mentioning, but we put on the event, and alhamdulillah, we had a lot of people come down. And so the event finished, and then what happened after the event is I basically took a social media blackout. The reason I took a social media blackout is because I decided that, my child is due any time, and I want to be able to enjoy these last few weeks with my family and just really be present for the birth of my child, be present for this last bit, and in order for me to do that, I want to shut myself off from the world, right? And so I did, and alhamdulillah, on the 26th of October, Zakaria was born. And I mentioned kind of the story about that in a previous podcast. I can't remember what episode number it is. I'll try and find it now, actually. Where we at? So episode number 132. Episode 132, I discussed it in detail, but there were some complications when he was born. He had some breathing difficulties, and he didn't breathe by himself properly for about 20 minutes, and it was very scary, and kind of I'll go into all that in episode 132. But what happened is, but at this point, the world, nobody knows that we had a baby, right? Not even my friends or anything. And I decided to go on social media and reactivate it. And what I found is I really enjoyed my time off social media. And so when I came back on it, I feel like a lot of anxieties came back, a lot of like pressure. And it sounds stupid, but it was just the truth. And I realized that I just maybe enjoy privacy now, but I also love creating, and I love performing, and I love putting things out there in the world. And I was thinking, how can I marry the two? How can I have privacy and that? And then I realized that the way to do it is that Allah has given me this amazing opportunity through Freshly Grounded, where I'm able to create, I'm able to put stuff out, I'm able to do these massive events and stuff, and at the same time do it through building a brand rather than building my personal brand. And I'm not saying that I'm never coming back to social media, but if I build my personal brand, what happens is when Faisal Chowdhury dies, Faisal Chowdhury's brand dies. And I've got to stand in front of Allah on the Day of Judgment, and I've got to be certain that I was sincere with everything. Whereas with Freshly Grounded, I don't see Freshly Grounded as my business. I see it as like the people's company. Like everyone... Freshly Grounded is something different for everyone. For the people that work in a team, for people who listen to it. For some people, it's just pure entertainment. For other people, it's a movement that they really back, the FG tribe. For some people, it's they just listen to the certain episodes that they're interested in. Other people listen to all of the episodes. Other people just want to come to the live events. But it's something different for everybody, and it doesn't feel like it's mine. Even though right now I'm kind of recording the episodes, editing the episodes, etc. The point is that if Faisal Chowdhury dies, Freshly Grounded continues. And I like that. Because in some ways, Freshly Grounded has nothing to do with Faisal Chowdhury. In some ways. It's a movement. It's this idea that we've created this community through podcasting of like-minded individuals who all love their faith but have challenges with it. And they love creating, or they love their career path. They want to be successful in the dunya as well. And they realize that they can do both. They can love their faith and be successful, and they realize that the loving their faith doesn't mean that they're not cool anymore, or doesn't mean that they're irrelevant. But it just means that you actually have a better standard, a better quality of life, because now you don't live in guilt, or now you're not living with this. You've got true happiness and true peace now, because you're living your life to the best of your ability, trying to please your Lord, and at the same time, what comes with that is you're also trying to have excellence in this life as well. So I think that's the movement that we've, alhamdulillah, been able to create. So that's the story of the Aldwych, man. That was a story. I think the juice of it was at the beginning, in that we were trying to put together this event. We wanted to go bigger and better, and we struggled at the beginning, and alhamdulillah, we managed to pull it off in the end. And now it's nice to sit and reflect on it, man, especially as we're building up to our next tour, our next event, which is this tour. And this tour is looking fun. This tour is looking really fun. We've had some challenges with it, and I hope that in 6 months' time I can sit here on a microphone and discuss the challenges that we have had or that we're still going through. And inshallah, by the end of it, I can say that we put on a really amazing tour, a 3-city tour in UK, London, Birmingham, Manchester. And, we had the support of the people. And we had a fun time, And so if you are looking to have a good time, if you are looking to support this cause, it's £12 for a ticket. And I believe that right now for Birmingham and Manchester, the code Early Bird, or for all of them, I think the code Early Bird is still working as a discount code. So you get it for around a tenner, I think. I think that if you support the cause and you stand by what we believe in, come to the event. And if you can't come to the event, there's no harm in buying a ticket or two, and then we'll make sure we distribute it in the right way. Maybe we give it away in a competition or something. But I'd love for you guys to come to the event, celebrate with us, have a good time, and I'd love to be able to do these more often. There's no reason why we can't do an event every month if we create this idea, because I know that I would love a situation where I can take out my family once a month or whenever it comes around, and we can go and have a good evening. We can book a hotel, book a dinner, go to the event, and just have a nice kind of like date night, essentially. Or if I go with my family, like my wider family, just have a good family night out. And I think that's what we're trying to create, and it's not easy, but alhamdulillah, the people have been merciful, and the people are supporting it, and I'm very, very grateful to you all. Guys, that was the freshly grounded story behind the Aldwych. I think I missed a lot out, a lot of the challenges, a lot of the trials, tribulations, a lot of the successes, but it is what it is. Let me know if you guys, like I said, it was more of a story. If you guys enjoyed this kind of episode, let me know. It will never be that an episode like this would replace the Friday episodes. It's just, it'll be a bonus episode. Like I said, we might do it for a few times and then decide to do it more consistently on Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, we've changed our tiers and we've revamped Patreon. So if you do want to support us, we'd love that. Head over to patreon.com. Wow. Patreon.com, that's patreon.com /freshly grounded, and you can support us for about £5 a month. You can, a minimum of £5 a month. You can support us. It helps us not having to look for sponsors. It helps us battle this issue in the future of trying to put on these great events, but not feeling like we have enough backing, and we can be kind of almost like self-funded by these premium subscriptions, and every little helps. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Please do comment below. Be nice. Assalamu alaikum. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.